here, feel free to join us on YouTube. Okay, feel free to join us on YouTube. Process and operations and process control. Feel free to join us on YouTube. Operations and process consulting. Just as a way of reminder, as we've been doing in previous sections, it will be good for me to remind us once again that irrespective of the area of consulting you find yourself, whether you are a business consultant, management consultant, engineering, medical, pharmaceutical, legal, or what have you, irrespective of the consulting area you find yourself, the things we are discussing here, they are topical issues around consulting and do not have, they are not on themselves consulting domains, as it were. So what this means is that everyone being a consultant is expected to understand these things. Okay, someone is saying no sound. No sound. Please, if you're hearing me, kindly type 11 in the chat room. If you're not hearing me, kindly type 00. Okay, if you can hear me, type 11. If you can't hear me, type 00. Okay, so someone is typing 11. That means he's hearing me. Okay. So please, Mr. President, you may have to check your sound. Okay, it seemed to be breaking. Okay, so if you're hearing me clearly without breaking, please type 22. If you're hearing me with breaking, please type 20. If you're hearing me and it's fluent in your area, type 22. If it is not fluent, please type 20. Okay, so 22, 20, 22, 20. So if it is 22 from some people and 20 from some people, so there is a possibility that it might be network from the area you are. So kindly be sure that your network is well connected. All right. Okay. So let's move on. Maybe I need to come closer to the microphone. Process and operations consulting, or operations and process consulting. Operations and process consulting. Operations and process consulting. Now, when we handled the section yesterday on strategy consulting, we laid a background that as a consultant, you need to understand business principles, right? And we'll also establish that while business principles will be the same across businesses, business processes could vary. Okay, business processes could vary. While operations across organizations could have the same titles, the processes inside those operations would vary. For instance, virtually every business environment has what we call marketing. Everyone has what we call either administration or human resource department. Everyone has maybe what we call the sales department. But when you get to certain organizations, maybe everyone also has operation department, but when you now get to certain organizations, you find out that the processes might vary. Okay, the processes might vary. The processes involved in operations in the medical field might not be the same processes involved in a restaurant, might not be the same processes involved in a legal field, might not be the same processes involved in education. So while the operation in quote could carry the same title, the same name, the processes involved in them could vary. Now, one of the things we also established yesterday is that irrespective of whatever area you're consulting in, you need to have good understanding of business principles. And for that particular organization you are going into, you have to check out the business processes involved. Okay? You have to check out your business processes. Mr. President is still saying that he's not hearing us. So please, can someone tell Mr. President to check his audio, please? Okay. And if by any means you're not hearing me, please call my attention. Let's know exactly where it's coming from. Okay, so back to our discussion. Every consultant need to have good understanding of business principles, and for those organizations they are going to consult for, or the industry they are going to consult in, they need to have good understanding of the operations and the processes in those industries, because one of the essence of consulting is to provide advisory and guidance on how to improve on effectiveness and efficiency of businesses. So the business effectiveness and efficiency will be improved if the processes and operations are improved. So as consultants, we need to understand operations and we need to understand processes within the industries that we operate in. And of course, we also need to understand that business continuity is hinged on how effective and efficient your operations and processes are. Business continuity is hinged on how effective and efficient your operations and processes are. If you have ineffective operations and ineffective business processes, you're going to experience business discontinuity or business challenges that might cause you to discontinue. All right, so we'll look at how all of these work together to help us in advancing businesses. Okay. All right. I'm going to reshare my screen to be sure that everyone could see that. Okay, please kindly confirm that you can see my screen. If you can see my screen, please kindly type 22 in the chat room. If you can see my screen, please kindly type 22 in the chat room. If you can see my screen, please kindly type 22 in the chat room. If you can see my screen. All right, thank you for seeing the screen. So let's move on right now. What are our learning objectives in this section today? In this first session, we'll be looking at explaining key concepts in operations and process consulting, as well as business continuity. And then we'll highlight the key principles and objectives of operations and process consulting. And then we'll review the role of operations and process consulting in business success. Then we'll elaborate on operational excellence, and then we'll enumerate process consulting methodologies. And then we'll discuss process design and automation. And then we'll walk through business continuity management, and then we'll look at the trends in operations and process consulting. Operations and process consulting. Now, moving forward, business processes. Business processes. Let's start with explanation of some of the key concepts we'll be using here. Business processes. A business process is a series of interrelated tasks or activities conducted by an organization to achieve a specific outcome or deliver a particular product or service. A business process is a series of interrelated tasks or activities conducted by an organization to achieve a specific outcome or deliver a particular product or service. Business processes are fundamental to how organizations operate, as they define how work is structured and executed. Each business process typically has a set of inputs, activities, and outputs. Examples of business processes include things like order processing, customer onboarding, supply chain management, and financial reporting. These are just examples of business processes. As we move on, we understand business processes more in practical terms. with quality examples. Now, what are the key characteristics of business processes? Business processes have structured flows. And this is where it becomes so interesting. Why operations could work interdependently, processes don't work like that. Processes are interconnected. Processes are stepwise, such that if you miss a step in that whole process, you might miss the outcome, the expected outcome. Now, let's take, for instance, if you want to cook, soup, right? If you want to cook food and the food you want to cook is soup, and then the process is involved that you put, possibly dependent on the kind of soup you're cooking anyway, but let's assume you're cooking a goosey soup. For those of us in Nigeria, let's assume you're cooking a goosey soup. I may not know all the processes, but one of the last things you put is the vegetable, right? You put the vegetable almost at the last. The last process is putting of the vegetable. Now, let's imagine that you put the vegetable first before you start putting other things. Just imagine how it will look like. Okay? So, a process is structured, and this is also a strategy-driven adventure. Process consulting is a strategy-driven adventure, such that the strategy, the way you manipulate your processes could define your quality. The way you manipulate your processes could define your quality. Now, till date, we keep saying that nobody knows the secret of Coca-Cola. It is because the process, not that we don't know the ingredients, we know the ingredients in Coca-Cola. We know the ingredients, and quite a number of other companies have tried to replicate Coca-Cola, right? But when you bring Coke and you bring another product that resembles Coke, you will see the difference. Why? Because of process manipulations, process design. Okay, so a company or companies could be in the same industry producing the same product, but some will be so distinct than the others because of the way the processes are structured and designed. So when we deal with process consulting, you hear consultants talk more of process engineering. Process engineering or process designing is just a way of manipulating the entire process to give you something that is much more innovative. Okay, so let's take, for instance, you have a process to produce bean cake, popularly known as akara. Another person could say, okay, after you've mixed the slurry and what have you, okay? So the process is fry for 5 minutes. Another one says fry for 10 minutes. Another one says fry for 7 minutes. Another one says fry for 2 minutes. That definition given to that particular process, that manipulation, that design in the whole process, it will give a product called bean cake, but you will notice that there will be variation in quality. Okay, there will be variation in quality. Now, the way you structure your process is a function of what needs you want to meet in the life of your customers. So your customer needs, your customer expectations determine process structuring, determine process manipulation, determine process designing, determine process auditing, determines process improvement. So that structural flow is very, very important. Structural flow is very, very important. Now, the second one there is input and output. Not just input and output. Every process takes in an input, and every process has a transformation unit, and every process gives an output. I'll repeat this again. Every process has an input-output system, but this input-output system is actually made up of 3 components. You have the input section, you have the processing section, or the transformation section, and then you have the output section. So let's go back to our bean cake production, for example. So I have an input called the bean slurry, okay, and I also have the hot oil, okay, and I have any other thing that comes in as the processing. Now, in the processing of the bean cake, I have to define the mechanism that will give birth to the output called the bean cake. So I need to have a hot oil. I need to define the time description for allotted for me to have an output. All right. And I need to also define the quantity of oil needed for me to process all of that in a particular formation, okay, that must give me a bean cake at the end of the day. Then at the output, I must have a bean cake. But it is important that in this whole process, they are involved or they are enclaved in what we call a goal or objective. They are enclaved in what we call a goal and objective. So for instance, if I want to have a brown bean cake, that is my goal at the end of the day. The input, the transformation process and the output should, at the end of the day, give me a brown bean cake. You know what I'm trying to say? That process must be well structured to give me a brown bean cake. If I'm into HR consulting and I'm giving a target to hire maybe a HR, okay, let's say I'm to hire an office assistant, a personal assistant. And this personal assistant must be computer literate. This personal assistant, not just being computer literate, definition of the computer literate is that he must be able to use Microsoft Word and every other word processing tool. He must be able to use Excel. He must be able to use PowerPoint. These are the definitions of what my output, which is a personal assistant, should look like, all right? Now, that's my goal at the end of the day. Now, the process I'm going to put through, which is the process of interviewing, having oral interview, aptitude test, and all of that, should be able to practical interview, should be able to prove to me that this person, the process should be able to prove that this person is what occupying the position defined as a personal assistant. So whether you are a HR consultant, whether you are an engineering consultant, whether you are a management development consultant, whatever consultant you are, having to understand the place of structural flow of process is very, very important. And let me also say this, like I said, the background of process is a function of strategy. The background of process. So process is actually a derivative of strategy, right? So what this simply means is that your competitive advantage is a function of your process flow, your structured process flow, the way your input transformation unit and the output work, right? All right, now listen. This is very, very important for you to understand. Processes, what company A could call a cost-effective process, company B might not see it as a cost-effective process. What company A sees as cost-effective process, company B might not be able to see it as cost-effective process. So that is where the process design now comes to play. So what I call effective process, you might not consider it as cost-effective because, now listen, this is very, very important. Our understanding of concept and our understanding of knowledge differs. The way I may manipulate knowledge to produce results, someone else might not be able to manipulate it the same way to produce results. So our foundational approach to process is a function of the mental capacity of the people involved in that process design. So the more knowledgeable you are, the more you understand the key concepts in that process, the more you are able to manipulate the process to give you results. But if you lack adequate understanding of the entire operations, of the entire strategy involved in that will give birth to the process, then you see that that process might end up inefficient. Now, let me give you an example. Someone was called a HR consultant was contracted to hire a top board member. Now, this HR consultant, after the whole thing, gave a budget that was going to cost him, it was going to cost her $10,000 to be able to get this consultant. All right. Now, another person gave the same descriptions, the same processes, everything, but he now manipulated the process and said, if he's able to projectize this process, it will cost him less than $1,000 to get this same consultant in less than 7 days. Now, this other one was given 3 months. This one was given 7 days. What makes the difference? A function of process understanding, understanding how to make it work in a most cost-effective way. And we must understand that as consultants, this is what organizations want to achieve through us. Make their processes cost-effective, reduce costs for them, improve efficiency, improve effectiveness. So when you are coming in as a process consultant, the question is, what innovation are you bringing? Of course, you understand that innovation is a function of mental capacity. Mental capacity. Mental capacity. If you don't have mental capacity, if your mental capacity is not up to the problem on ground, there is no way you can solve that problem. So, and that's why we've kept on encouraging every one of us, pay attention to continuous learning. It is not going to help any other person but you. If I should tell you that you coming to this class is not going to help any other person but you, it will sound crazy, but that's just the truth. This class we are in now is not going to help any other person but you. The moment we begin to take knowledge pursuit as personal, it will be of great advantage to us. Now, the next key characteristics of business processes is continuous improvement. Okay, continuous improvement. Your input, transformation, and output system or unit is prone to continuous improvement because you want to serve better. And then you go to cross-function. Processes could be cross-functional in nature. Okay, process could be found here and then you could find in another operation, it could be found in another operation. So it could be cross-functional in nature. Okay, and then measurability. Processes should be measurable, or processes are measurable. Remember, every process has an expected output. You know, there's what we call garbage in, garbage out. That's a computer language. Garbage in, garbage out. So processes work in that same order. What you put in versus what is out. Every company wants to have maximization of profit, maximization of resources, maximization of systems, maximization of everything they are putting in. So every output is expected to give a result. Now listen, do you remember the Pareto principle? Who remembers the Pareto principle? If you remember the Pareto principle, you can lift your hand, raise your hand, and share with us. Pareto principle. Pareto principle. Who remembers the Pareto principle? Pareto principle. You can put it in the chat room. You can raise your hand and then share with us briefly. Pareto principle. You see, if you don't interact with us, you make us want to transfer this learning to YouTube. If you don't talk to us, we feel like, okay, people don't want to talk. So let's put it on YouTube where they won't talk. So they will only listen. Thank you so much, Engineer Kevin. Sorry, Uncle Kevin. Please kindly unmute, sir. Let's hear from you. Uncle Kevin, are you still there? Please kindly unmute, sir. Okay, sorry, I muted you back. Kindly unmute, sir.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, the principle, Pareto talks about 80-20.
Okay.
Yeah. I would like to put it in my own words.
Okay.
80%. Are you there?
Yes, I'm with you, sir.
Yeah. 80% of the work. Okay, like in the office, 20% do 80% of the work.
Okay, 20% do 80% of the work, right?
Yeah.
Okay, in simple application, 20% do 80% of the work. Others are just there. Okay, so if we bring it to what we're having here, every business expects that 20% of its input should produce 80% of its output. So if you're a consultant, that's what you're looking at. How do you manipulate a process that it transforms 20% of its input to 80% of output? That's maximization. All right? Resource maximization. 20% to give 80%, 20% to give 80%, 20% to give 80%. That sounds crazy. Is it possible? But that's what organizations are looking out for. In fact, some organizations are too strict that they move it to the Abraham Lincoln's principle, which is the 90-10 principle. 10% should be able to give us 90%. 10% should be able to give us 90%. 10% of input should be able to produce 90% of the output. That's the Abraham Lincoln's principle. But whichever way, as a process engineer or process consultant, one of the things you're looking at is measurability. If you put 20%, can you get more than that? If your output is less than your input, then that process is inefficient. Okay, that process is inefficient. Now, if your input is equal to your output, that process is not even working, or that system is not working. If what you put in is what you got, it's called equilibrium, and you don't need equilibrium when it comes to profit. You want to excel, you want to exceed your investment. Okay, but when you have the 80-20 working for you, even if you tell the organization to pay you 20% of their profit, they will be willing to pay you. Okay, because you have a system that is working, you have a process that is working. All right. Okay, now if you got something from this key component of or key characteristics of business processes, please kindly type 99 in the chat room. You got something from this place, kindly type 99 in the chat room. I took my time to explain this because this is foundation of the process engineering or process consulting, operations consulting. If you got something from this section, type 99 in the chat room. And if you have any question, I will be glad to answer question here because this is very, very important. If you have any question or there's something here you did not understand, ask me now. Okay, I'm not seeing any comment and I'm not seeing any question. Does it mean we did not understand anything? We did not get anything from this particular slide? Okay. Okay, so out of 28 persons, only one person that actually got something. Oh. Okay. Okay. So two people understood what I shared on this slide. And no questions are coming in at the moment. So let me proceed. All right. Now, we've looked at business process. Now let's look at business operations. Business operations refer to the day-to-day activities and tasks that an organization undertakes to produce and deliver its product or services. It encompasses all processes, functions, and activities required to keep a business running smoothly. So what this means is that processes are found inside operations. Operations contain processes. Okay, operations contain processes. Now, business processes are a subset of business operations, focusing specifically on the structured sequence of activities that contribute to broader operational goals. Now, areas of business operations. Areas of business operations. We have the area of production operations for those that do manufacturing activities. They talk about production more. But in recent time, we also talk about services. So whether you are manufacturing or you're producing or you're creating services, all are considered as operations. Production operations. They have the sales and marketing operations, which involve the tasks in promoting and selling products or services, including market research, advertising, and sales. Now you have financial operations, processes related to managing finance, budgeting, accounting, and financial reporting. Human resource operations, functions associated with recruiting, hiring, training, and managing personnel. Customer service operations, activities aimed at providing support and addressing customer inquiries or concerns. supply chain operations, processes involved in sourcing, procurement, logistics, and inventory management. Then you have the administrative operations. These are just but a few. Now, if you look at each of these operations, you find that each of them have one function that when you start expanding it, it will give birth to processes. For instance, you talk about sales and marketing operations, we say it involves promoting and selling of product. Promotion alone, promotion is a function. And then when you get to the function, you will start seeing different processes, how you will now manipulate your processes to give you the kind of result you want to see in your promotion. Okay. Okay, Mr. Sunday say he has a question. Okay, so Mr. Sunday, sorry that your Zoom was having an issue. Please go ahead and ask your question, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, please, sir. Your volume is low. Can you speak up a bit?
Am I audible now?
Still far from your system.
Okay, I will just type.
Okay, go ahead. It's a little audible now. Okay, yes. All right. I'll be expecting the question in the chat room. All right. Now, let's look at operations and process consulting. Now, we've defined business processes, we've defined business operations. Now, what then is operations and process consulting? Operations and process consulting involves analyzing and improving organizational processes to enhance efficiency and effectiveness. The key word there is enhancing efficiency and effectiveness. It encompasses a broad range of activities from optimizing workflows to implementing strategic changes, addressing both operational and process-related challenges. Now, moving forward, the key principles and objectives of operations and process consulting. The key principles here, we have the continuous improvement principle, and then we have the client-centric or human-centric or customer-centric principle. The continuous improvement here involves iterative process to enhance efficiency. Now, the continuous improvement simply means that we must continuously innovate on our processes. That you have a process that will work today does not mean that it will give you result forever. So if the process that gave birth to a particular satisfaction to customers today might not give the same satisfaction to customers tomorrow. And of course, you understand the theory of motivation, that when a need is met, it's no longer a motivation. So when a customer's desire is met, that particular desire, that anticipated satisfaction that has made might not be a major drive again. He wants something new. Now, one of the areas or one of the ways we can continuously give new things to customers is through process design and redesigning. Okay, continuous improvement on the processes. Yes, the operations are the same, but the processes keep improving, keep undergoing motivation, keep undergoing innovations. All right. It involves embracing a culture of ongoing optimization, continuously optimizing. All right. Now, the client-centric approach, like I said, everything you're doing about your process is human-centered, is customer-centered, is client-centered. Understanding and aligning with client goals. Their goals today might not be the same goal tomorrow. What gave them satisfaction today might not give them satisfaction tomorrow. One of the reasons business will continually change is because human behavior continually changes. Okay, human behavior is continually changing, and the introduction and adoption of technology had made the change in human behavior very rapid. So we must adopt agile approaches in managing the processes that handle or that satisfy the expectations of customers. This is very, very important. Client-centric approach also involves tailoring solutions to meet specific needs. Okay, and of course, we understand that tailoring is an agile approach to meeting customer needs. And of course, tailoring also means that we continuously manipulate, design, and redesign our processes to meet specific needs. Now, the objectives of operations and process consulting: enhanced efficiency, which means streamlining processes for maximum productivity. Maximum productivity. Maximum productivity. 80-20. We give 20% and we get 80% as the output. We give 20, expecting 80. That's maximum productivity. Then it also means identifying and eliminating bottlenecks so that the process could be seamless. Now we have quality improvement, ensuring processes meet or exceed quality standards, and then implementing methodologies such as Six Sigma and Lean. And then we have cost optimization, identifying cost-saving opportunities and maximizing resource utilizations. This is very, very important. And these are the key principles and objectives surrounding operations and process consulting. Now, moving forward, the role of operations and process consulting in business success. Okay. Okay, so let's look at Mr. Osford's consideration. He said the principle that talks about using 20% of resources to achieve 80% result, does it put into consideration if the resources are available? If the resources available is capable of producing the expected results, or the principle focuses on coercing the resources? Okay, or the principle focuses on coercing the resources to produce the result expected. Okay, so that's why we are talking about processing. Okay, that's why we're talking about the process. Now, Pareto talks about the 20-80 principle. Okay, but it's not everybody that may be able to put this into practice. Remember, I talked about the mental capacity of the person who is going to design the process. Okay, who is going to design the process? Okay, so let's use some typical examples of 80-20 principle right now. Now, if this training, if it were to be paid for, if it were to be a paid training, like pay before you attend training, the minimum you could be paying for is 100,000 to attend this program. That's the minimum you could be paying, 100,000 to attend this program. Now, let's assume 30 people paid for this program. That's 3 million naira. Now, this 3 million naira, if you were to use the physical meeting, right? You have to pay for hall. You have to make provision for maybe some souvenirs like writing aids and all of that. You have to make provision for food. You have to make provision for things to be rented to support the. So you're possibly going to use about 50% of the resources to treat, if not more, to treat the training. Okay, you actually use more than 50%. In most cases, use up to 70%, right? But the introduction of technology reversed this. Technology reversed this. Instead of using 70% of whatever thing you were to get to conduct a training, technology has made it that you can actually use 30% and get 70% as a result. Do you get what I'm trying to say now? So now, if you were to do this training online, you don't bother about hall, you don't bother about food, you don't bother about bag, you don't bother about flash drive, you don't bother about having to get a Wi-Fi that everybody will have to connect to. You don't have to worry about logistics of facilitators and logistics of materials and all of that. So technology has reversed this process. And technology is reversing almost all of the processes. Instead of using, even in default business term, the days we learned business management, they told us that you need in your operations, 70% of your resources go to operations, and 30% is what you see as investment, return on investment. And that 30%, if you get 30% as a return on investment as of let's say about 20-25 years ago, that means you're very, very prudent. But now technology has reversed the process that you actually use 30% or even less and get 70% or more as an output. All of this is happening because of process engineering and re-engineering. process designing and redesigning. Mr. Sunday, did you get the idea of this whole process of a thing? Did you get the idea? Please let me have your feedback in the chat room. What I just explained now, does it explain in a little way this 2080 principle, like the Pareto principle? Does it explain it in any way? If it does, let me have your feedback in the chat room. Okay. Now, the role of operations and process consulting in business success. Number one, strategic alignment. Strategic alignment. Now, there are a whole lot of things happening now with organizations. Technology had given organizations the privilege to align their processes, their systems to strategically with the strategies and everything to reduce costs, to maximize profit, to meet customers' needs, and all of that. Okay. Maybe 30 years ago, nobody talked about WhatsApp. Nobody, we were only concentrating on email. And before you could access that email, you could have moved distances to get where you get a cyber cafe to sit down and pay for a particular time and then access that. So email was one of the things that served as a major communication for technology-driven organizations there. But now we have instant messaging systems all across the communication apps now, instant messaging systems. So you send the message now, the person gets it instantly. Okay, all of this is part of strategic alignment. Okay, ensuring every process contributes to organizational goal. Now, risk mitigation. Identifying and mitigating operational risks. Okay, so from each process, you can easily identify what possible risks could come up from there. Then developing contingency plans for unforeseen challenges. Okay. 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 Mr. Osford says that the processes, yes, he understands the processes that I just explained, but the application of 2080 unequal and unbalanced principle, I still trying to wrap his head around it to understand it. So we will pray that he understands it. However, I will recommend that you could pick maybe a book on that. I think what's his name? Brian Tracy wrote a book on that 80-20 principle. You can pick it up and read it. And I think there are other people that have written about 80-20 principle. I think I can see a copy of my table here. There's a copy here, 80-20 principle by Richard Koch. Richard Koch, you can get a copy of this also. I can't remember exactly where this is. You can get a copy of this by Richard Koch. Maybe it will help. It will help. So you get much information from this kind of tests. Thank you so much. I'm sure by the time you get more information, you will be able to wrap your head around it. Then the next thing, one of the other roles is innovation and adaptability, fostering a culture of innovation, building adaptable processes to navigate changes in business environment. And then we have client satisfaction, enhancing customer experience through optimized processes, delivering consistent and high quality products and services. And then you have measuring results, establishing key performance indicators and demonstrating tangible improvements and return on investment. Moving forward, now that Mr. Paul said that he's trying to wrap his head around this thing, I'm sure there could be other people who are trying to wrap their head around the 80-20 principle. Now, let me say that as a consultant who deals with processes, that 80-20 principle, you have to understand it and put it to work, because that is what organizations are looking for. They want profit maximization. They want resource maximization. So how can they use the little of what they have to get more of what they are looking for? Should I use another example? One of the systems that had given birth to actually understanding 80-20 principle, which is also a function of knowledge, is the crypto environment. The crypto environment. the crypto environment, within the shortest time, if you know how to conduct your trades, you know how to do your work very well, you understand technically how to do it. Somebody who invested 4 million naira, for instance, in maybe sales of agricultural produce, as fast moving as agricultural produce are, somebody who invested 4 million naira, in a week, maybe could be getting about, say, 200,000 naira as a gain, as a return on investment. But the person who did 4 million naira on crypto could be getting an extra 2 million naira as a return on investment. That's maximization of what you give. So you put in 4 million, at the end of the day, you're getting 6 million. And if you keep, in fact, the truth is, dependent on the nature of the market, that amount you put within 24 hours, you can double or triple it if you understand how the process works. So it's just a function of understanding. And of course, I've said it over and over. Understanding is a function of mental capacity. And of course, when we talk about mental capacity, it's a function of the quality of knowledge available to your mental environment. Okay, this is very, very important. So every consultant that deals on process and operations need to understand the 80-20 principle. If you want your clients to like you and give you more work, understand it and apply it in their businesses. Operational excellence. Operational excellence is a management philosophy and business strategy that focuses on achieving high levels of efficiency, effectiveness, and customer satisfaction within an organization. Okay, so while I talked about crypto, please note I only use it for learning purposes. I did not say you should go and put your money there. The same way you can double that money in a few hours, you can also lose everything in a few hours if you don't know how to do it. So I'm not in any way telling you to go and invest in crypto so that you did not say while you were in consulting class, you got opportunity. If you don't know how to go about it, please go and seek for knowledge first. After getting knowledge, you can try out. Okay, I didn't say you should go and invest there. I'm putting a disclaimer now. Operational excellence involves continuous improvement of processes, systems, and people to deliver exceptional value to customers and stakeholders. Operational excellence is not just a one-time initiative, but an ongoing commitment to excellence in all aspects of business operations. Now, key components of operational excellence, there is continuous improvement, a focus on customers, there is a focus on efficiency and productivity, there is a focus on employee engagement. These are the key components that we have in operational excellence. We also have strategic alignment, risk management, focus on performance management, focus on adaptability and innovation. Now, let's quickly look at benefits of operational excellence. When you have operational excellence, you have cost savings, you have increased productivity, you have improved quality, you have enhanced customer satisfaction, you have competitive advantage, and you have innovation and growth. These are the outcomes, the things you see when your operation becomes excellent. When you have the 80-20 principle playing out, you're possibly going to experience all of these things. The 80-20 principle by default means that you're saving more cost. By default means that you're having increased productivity. By default, it might mean that you have improved quality dependent on the process involved. Of course, there will be enhanced customer satisfaction. And then that will serve by default as a competitive advantage, and it also boosts growth through innovation. So if you put 80-20 principles side by side with this benefit, you find out that they are just the same. The result of 80-20 will give you this. Okay. Now, note, operational excellence is a journey that requires commitment from leadership, engagement from employees, and a focus on creating value for customers and stakeholders. It is a holistic approach that considers the entire value chain of an organization. Now, let's quickly look at operational excellence framework. We'll be looking at lean management, Six Sigma, total quality management, and the boundary performance excellence frameworks. Let's look at each of them. For lean management, by definition, the lean management is a systematic approach to eliminating waste and improving efficiency throughout the entire value stream. In the afternoon, today will be the last section we'll be dealing with today will be on value-based consulting, and it will be important for you to be there to learn about value. What is called value? What is called value? Okay, what do customers consider value? How do you create value? Understanding the consulting value chain. What do clients call value? Okay, how do you create value? The value creation system, the value delivery system, and the players involved in the value system. We're going to learn all of that. Okay, and then you as a consultant, how do you become a consultant of value? Okay, we understand that in consulting we trade majorly value. If there is no value in your consulting adventure, then you're possibly not going to get much engagement. All right. Now, key principles of the lean management. We have identifying and eliminating waste. There are 7 types of waste considered here. We have overproduction, waiting, transportation waste, overprocessing waste, excess inventory waste, defect waste, and underutilized talent. All these things are considered as waste. As I'm talking to you now, one of the areas in organization where the lean management is becoming so predominant is in human resources. Human resources is continuously getting dominant in the adoption of lean management process. How do I mean? Today we talk about virtual assistants. We talk about remote working. We talk about online engagements and what have you. So people do deal with virtual assistants. You don't talk about gratuity. You don't talk about pension. You don't talk about monthly salaries and allowances. You don't talk about training and retraining of such persons. So you are eliminating a whole lot of waste. Okay. You're eliminating things that could have been considered waste. Okay. And then instead of keeping people that are underutilized, you now engage people that you only use them when you need them. You only use them when you need them. So HR is one of the operational areas in businesses today that are adopting the principle of lean management. Another area is the area of production. The area of production. Another area is the area of what we are doing now, training and development. Training and development. Before you develop any content, you make sure that it is in tandem with what the learner wants to learn. You don't just go developing materials. You make sure, in fact, in learning and development, they will tell you there are 3 categories of what you must do as a trainer. There is must know, there is should know, and there is would know. Must know should be your major concern. Should know, if you have time, you can talk about it briefly. Would know is future knowledge that the person should be anticipating. So your concern is on must know. So by focusing on must know, you would have eliminated the time that you would have put on should know and would know. So lean management is practicable in all sense and in all operations. Okay, in all sense and in all operations. All right. Now, you have the other one of continuous improvement, which is the Kaizen. The Kaizen is a Japanese word that the closest word to explain it is continuous improvement. Now, it means encouraging a culture of continuous small improvement and involving employees at all levels in identifying and implementing improvement. I would like you to go and read about the history of Toyota. I want you to go and read about the history of Toyota. Recently, I read a book about Toyota. I think you will get some good history about Toyota in the book, Built to Last and Good to Great. You will get some good, I think, written by Dr. Cohen. You will get some important information about all these lean strategies and all of these strategies there. Now, when I read about Toyota, I was meant to understand that when Toyota started, Toyota was not a known brand. Honda was well ahead of Toyota. Honda was well ahead of Toyota. And Mercedes was well ahead of Toyota. In fact, Toyota was seen as a car not for the high and the mighty, right? But Toyota got a new CEO who introduced this principle of Kaizen. And they started making small improvement to the point that Toyota once wrote that they make over 3,000 improvements within 24 hours on their cars. They make 3,000 improvements. 3,000 improvements, small adjustments, small improvement. And by the time you know it, Toyota overtook Honda. Well, at least in Nigeria, Toyota overtook Honda. And Toyota was recorded to have the cars that have the highest volume of sales now per annum. Toyota is in the list of the league. Due to what? Continuous improvement. I said something yesterday when we talked about resilience planning. Don't allow your career to die. Don't allow your business to die. Don't allow that is in your hand to die. Don't allow your marriage to collapse. There is what we call continuous improvement. And continuous improvement is not doing big things. It's doing small, achieving big things through small ways. So let's pay attention to the small things we could be doing to give us better and bigger improvement and bigger results. All right? This is very important. Now you have the pull systems and just in time. Okay, producing items based on customer demands and reducing excess inventory and minimizing lead times. So the just in time is you work according to demand. As customers are placing orders, you are doing whatever thing they are asking. So when you go to restaurant, you see more of the just in time. Even those of us that have business connections in China, in Japan, when you have an order from Nigeria, for instance, or you want to supply an order to any part of the world, and you want Chinese people to do that for you, you place an order. They will produce according to your order. They don't just produce and keep waiting for somebody to buy. No, they rather go and market, and then when you now place an order, they produce and ship to you. By doing so, they would have reduced time. They would have reduced inventory cost and all what have you. Then have you also considered e-commerce? E-commerce. Most of the e-commerce sites, they don't have any shop. They don't have any store. Okay, so what are they doing? They are just using just in time and pull systems kind of marketing. So they market to you. You make an order. It is only when you make an order that they process the order from the people that have the product and then shipped to you. So they don't have carrying costs. They don't have withholding costs. Okay. So all of those things help. Then you have the 6 Sigma. Remember, we are looking at operational excellence framework. And of course, we understand that it is the optimization of processes that lead to operational excellence. So everything we are doing here, therefore, around the frameworks are focusing more on how to get the processes to be efficient and effective so that the operation that is happening them could become excellent, right? Now, the 6 Sigma is a data-driven methodology for process improvement aiming to eliminate defects and variations. The key principles here, you have the define, measure, analyze, improve, and control, which is structured approach for problem solving and process improvement. Each phase is critical for achieving measurable and sustainable results. Okay, so let's go back to the 80-20 principle. So you could start with small incremental measurement, incremental steps. So try putting in 50%. Target your output to be 50% of your input, right? Define it in such a way, then design the process that will give you that. Then measure the whole thing at the end of the day. If you're able to get the system, analyze why you were able to get that. What were the components of that system that gave you that? If you were unable to get that, also analyze and find out what were the challenges. Then improve on whatever be your outcome of the analysis, and then control. Go back, define again, keep doing it that same way. Keep doing it that same way until your process gets excellent and gives you better results. Okay, gets excellent and gives you better results. All right. Okay, the next one is statistical methods. Use of statistical tools to analyze and improve processes. Focus on reducing process variability. Then there's also a focus on customer, aligning processes with customer requirements and expectations, ensuring customer satisfaction through defect reduction. Defect reduction. Now, we have the total quality management principle. The total quality management, TQM, is a comprehensive management philosophy that focuses on continuous improvement, customer satisfaction, and employee involvement. So it has 3 legs: continuous improvement, customer satisfaction, and employee improvement. All right. The key principles here for customer focus, employee involvement, and customer improvement. Then you have the boundary performance excellence framework. The boundary performance excellence framework is a set of criteria for organizational performance excellence. So it has categories that should define excellence in an organization. And it started with leadership. Of course, we understand that nothing works until leadership works. Nothing works until leadership works. Your leadership defines everything. The excellence of an organization is a function of the excellence of the leadership. The next one is the strategy. We've also said it yesterday that strategy determines the winning. Your strategy determines the wins. So organizations with the best strategies will always win. So look at your strategy. I've also established that strategy is foundational to operations, and operations are foundational to processes. So if you look at it, strategy is breaking down your business to operations, and then breaking down your operations to functions, breaking down your functions to processes. Okay. All right. Then you have customers. Okay. That's understanding and meeting customer requirements, building strong customer relationship. Then you have measurement, analysis, and knowledge management. Knowledge management. Measurement, analysis, and knowledge management. You cannot take away success from mental relationship. It is the content of your brain that determines the output in your hands. It is the content in your the content of your brain that determines the output in your hands. I remember some times ago, a particular organization, one of the staff contacted us that I think that was their head of programs, that they wanted to run a training for their staff. Now, they asked us to submit a proposal, and afterwards they called us for a meeting to discuss with their MD CEO. And then when we did everything, the day I was to have the meeting with the MD CEO, the woman said something that shocked me. She said to me, you know, it's not as though this training is needed. These people, they already have their BScs, some they have their degrees, some already have their masters. This is just a requirement that is being laid upon us. Okay, that's why we are doing this training. So the cost shouldn't be that much. And I looked at the woman. I said, so training to you is just for compliance purposes. It has nothing to do with performance. It has nothing to do with excellence. And moving forward, that training really did not hold, because I felt like their mindset was wrong. So they kept dragging. We didn't follow up on them, and the training did not hold. Barely 3 months. 3 months was too much. That organization was at the brink of collapse. The people that had degrees and masters couldn't handle the crisis that came to the organization. And that was how every member of staff of the organization, almost 90% of them left. 90% of them left. You could have the best brain, but if you don't know how to manage that knowledge, if you don't know how to measure and put that knowledge to work, you will be losing You'll be losing. Training is not for compliance. Training is for performance. Training is not to be made optional. Training should be made compulsory. Knowledge acquisition should be made compulsory, not optional. Okay. Workforce. Building and maintaining an engaged and high performance workforce, and then operations, focusing on efficient and effective key processes. Moving forward, process consulting methodologies. Process consulting methodologies. Process consulting methodologies. Process consulting methodologies. We have the process mapping and analysis. Then we have the gap analysis, root cause analysis, change management strategies. Let's look at each of them. The process mapping and analysis. By definition, process mapping is visual representation of business processes, highlighting steps, inputs, outputs, and interactions. Process analysis involves evaluating and optimizing the efficiency and effectiveness of a process. Now, when you are doing a process mapping, you are looking at the key processes, the subset, the sub-processes, and the subset of the processes. And then by you looking at the different domains, you want to find out which ones are the critical processes. So that will now bring us to what we call the, if you are to draft it in a map, you now talk about the critical parts and the critical chain. Okay, the ones that if not done, the whole thing will not have a headway. All right. So by having process mapping, you'll be able to know which of the processes are critical and which of them are non-critical. Okay. And by also having them mapped out, we have a visualization of what the anticipated process could look like. Now, the key steps here will be identifying the process, that's clearly identifying or clearly defining the scope and boundaries of the process. Number two, creating a process map. Visualize the steps and flow of process using flowcharts or diagrams. Then gather data, collect relevant data to measure the performance of each step, and then analyze and identify improvement opportunities by assessing the processes for bottlenecks, redundancies, and areas of improvement. Then optimize the process, implement changes to enhance efficiency and effectiveness. Then you have the second one, gap analysis. Between where you are and where you want to get to, what do you need? What's the gap? Gap analysis is a method to assess the difference between current performance and desired or optimal performance. The key steps here will be defining the objectives, that's clearly articulating the desired outcomes or performance level. And this is where your KPI, your key performance indicators, will be very much important. All right. Then assessing current state, evaluating the existing process or situation, identifying gaps, that's determining the differences between the current state and desired state. Then prioritizing gaps, rank gaps based on their impact and importance. Then develop action plan, that's creating strategies to bridge the identified gaps and then implement changes. Execute your plan to achieve your desired outcome. Now we have the root cause analysis. I love the root cause methodology because the root cause methodology doesn't fight problems at the surface. It fights problems at the root. Okay, it tries to find out the major cause of the problem, such that if you deal with it, every other thing will die off. Okay, every other thing will die off. All right. Now, if I should ask the question, what is the major challenge in Nigeria? Why are we where we are today? What would be your answer if you had to say the root cause of Nigeria's problem or the root cause of Africa's problem? Okay, the root cause of our problem. What would you call it? While you are typing your answer, by definition, root cause analysis. Okay, so someone did not even wait for me to finish. It says bad leaders, bad leaders. Okay. Okay. So if you agree with her, let me know. If you disagree, let's have your own concept. Another person agreed and says leadership. Okay. Okay. Another person says corruption. Okay. Corruption. Another person says yes, it's bad leadership. Okay. So I will actually agree that the problem of Africa is leadership, terribly bad leadership. And I'm confident, I'm one of the believers that if we deal with the issue of leadership in Africa, Africa will become one of the best places to ever be. Okay, we will not think of moving to anywhere. Okay, but see where we are because of bad leadership. Terribly bad leadership. Terribly bad leadership. Okay. Okay, so someone said the problem of Africa is bad external influence. Okay. Bad leadership and poor management. Okay, so if you summarize everything we are dealing with here, it all summed up to leadership, 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 leadership. So if there were no bad leadership, we won't be having Boko Haram. If there were no bad leadership, we won't be having insurgencies, we won't be having kidnapping, we won't be having there was a time in Nigeria, I'm using Nigeria as a case study. There was a time in Nigeria that there was so much trouble. And then a group of leaders came. Nigeria had serenity. There were times in Nigeria that you never heard about robbery. You never heard about kidnapping. Then another group of people now came and they now escalated this matter. So now we have advanced issues in Nigeria. Okay, advanced issues. So if we can deal with the root cause of bad leadership, we'll find out that good behavior will come. We'll find out that the problem of corruption will be dealt with. We'll find out that insecurity will be dealt with. We'll find out that problem of food insecurity will be dealt with. Poor health facilities will be dealt with. So, definition of root cause analysis. Root cause is a systematic process for identifying the underlying causes of problems or issues. In project management, there's what we call the fishbone technique, or Ishakwa technique. The Ishakwa technique is identifying problems and identifying the root causes. Okay, identifying, maybe you have identified that an organization is experiencing operational inefficiencies. Okay, they are lagging behind operationally. Okay, and then you came to audit that that the process is giving birth to that. So in fishbone, just the diagram of a fish bone. Okay, the diagram of fish bone. So for each strand of the fish bone is a cause. Another one is an effect. Okay, but at the end of the day, you want to find out the root cause of all of these things, such that if you're able to deal with that root cause, every other thing will be handled. And that is one of the things we also deal with the law of consequences. There is a law that we call the law of consequences. For every action, there is a consequence. So for you as a person, what you want to do is to engage the action that will produce the highest positive consequence. Take the action that will produce the highest possible consequence. That's the law of consequence. The law of consequence, if you take a poor action, you have poor consequences or negative consequences. If you take a good action, you are possibly going to have positive consequences and high positive consequences, right? Now, the key steps here involve defining the problem, data collection, identifying the possible causes, narrowing down the causes to get the root cause, then verifying the root cause, and then developing solutions to deal with the root cause. So first of all, what is the problem? Secondly, collect data, get information on this particular problem. Then identify the possible causes that are tending to this problem. Then narrow it down. What are actually the root causes? What are the things causing these problems? Okay. Then verify the root cause and then develop solutions. Okay, let's run a little faster. Now, we have the change management strategies. By definition, change management strategies involve planning, implementing, and sustaining changes within an organization to achieve desired outcome. Key strategies here involve communication and engagement, leadership support, employee involvement, training and development, feedback mechanisms, and celebrating success. Every one of us should be a master of change. Okay, every one of us as consultants, we should be master of change. Okay, master the art of managing change. Okay, that's very, very important. Now, technology and tools for operations optimization. By definition, technology in operation refers to the use of various digital tools and solutions to enhance and optimize business processes and functions. The key areas here will involve digital transformation, that's integration of digital technologies to fundamentally transform processes and operations. We already have that taking place. The Internet of Things, connecting devices and systems together and exchange data for improved efficiency. It is so funny that when you get to some organizations today, you find machines that are working with Wi-Fi. Okay, they need data for those machines to work. Okay, they need data for those machines to work. All right. They have the cloud computing, storing and accessing data and applications over the internet, enhancing flexibility and scalability. Artificial intelligence and machine learning, utilizing intelligent algorithms for data analysis, predictions, and decision making. Yesterday, I advised us as consultants, please pay attention to improving your knowledge in these areas now that I just mentioned. In these areas, pay attention to them. You've done so much training on leadership, on management, on consulting. Please find the practical realities around them in the technology domain. So as you are doing leadership training, also find the technology. As you're doing consulting, find the technology so as to become a balanced consultant. Now, as we begin to round up, process design. Process design is the creation of a system or series of steps and activities that transform inputs into desired outputs. It involves defining, mapping, and refining the processes that govern how work is done within an organization. Effective process design is essential for achieving efficiency, quality, and alignment with organizational goals. Now, what are the key components of process design? Okay. Define the objectives. Make sure you have work smart objectives, simple, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound objectives. Identify the input and the output you need. Okay. Then map the process that you want to use in the transformation of the inputs. Then assign responsibilities to whoever that will be in charge of the processes. Then set performance metrics, establish your KPI, and set benchmarks. Consider resource requirements. Every process has a resource requirement, no matter how minimal that might be. Okay, every process must have resource requirement. Then conduct your risk analysis to be sure that you understand all of the nitty-gritties involved in the process you're designing, and also putting up measures to avert the risks as they come up. Then ensure that you are designing a process that is flexible and adaptable to changes and to the environment. Okay, and that is also scalable and can accommodate changes as they come. Then document the procedures you use in creating your processes, and then ensure continuous improvement. Now, process design methodologies, as we begin to round up, you have the lean thinking. We've talked about lean management. So the principle of lean management is the same thing we deal with in lean thinking, trying to minimize waste and maximize efficiency, reducing waste and improving value. The Six Sigma has also been dealt with. Then design thinking. Design thinking is a human-centered approach emphasizing empathy and creativity. The application of emotional intelligence in process design is called design thinking. The application of emotional intelligence in process design is called design thinking. That's putting people first, leading or designing processes by empathy, application of emotional intelligence. Okay, all right. It involves iterative prototyping and user feedback for process improvement. Then you have business process re-engineering, the radical redesigning of business processes to achieve dramatic improvement often involves questioning and challenging existing processes. Remember that one of the essence of this whole thing we are doing, this whole trainings we are doing, is to help you reevaluate what you did in 2023 so as to have better plans and better processes and better operations for 2024. So if you need to engage in lean thinking, look at all of your business processes and ask yourself the question, where can we reduce cost? Where are we getting waste that we can reduce? You know what? I said it earlier. The most predominant place where lean management is evident is in HR. If organizations want to adopt the principle of lean thinking, look at defining what needs to be done. Okay, look at what you defined last year, look at what you're redefining this next year, and then create measurable ways of identifying results. KPI. Yesterday, I encouraged us, if you've never taken a course in strategic management, please take a course in strategic management. It will help you. One of the courses that revolutionized my life as a person is strategic management. Strategic management. Strategic management helps you to live your life with quality decisions. Okay, quality decisions. You don't just come up and do anything. Okay. So make sure you develop KPIs and then analyze your KPIs. Remember that strategy is an ongoing process. Strategy is flexible. Strategy is iterative. The same way with strategic planning. So no matter whatever plan you're drafting, these methodologies, these principles, these frameworks we are discussing with you is for you to find out how to use them. Okay, yesterday we talked about the ethical decision models. And part of the thing we talked about was the TANES test. If you weren't here yesterday, please make sure you go to YouTube and watch that section or those sections that we dealt with yesterday. There are sections you don't just want to miss. Okay, I'm telling you the honest truth. All right, then you have your. So that's just that about this. Okay, so you can work on that. Benefit of effective process design: you have efficiency, quality, cost savings, adaptability, and customer satisfaction by just repeating this over and over again. Now, process automation. Technology has made it easy also for us to do process automation. Okay, process automation. These classes could have as well been pre-recorded, uploaded, and you watch it at your own pace with well-structured emails that will tell you session has started, and you go, you watch, you go, and goes that way, right? So you can automate your processes. For those of us in consulting, communication in recent time can be completely automated. From your WhatsApp, you have your chat bot to automate responses, automate communication. Your email, you have autoresponders. Still on your email, you have email automation. On your training, for those of us that do training, you have things like learning management systems that you can use to automate. You can record the class for once and then send it over and over again, okay? Without you having to do that over and over. And those of us that do other things, okay, there had been medical advancement where robots are now conducting surgeries, right? Robots are conducting surgeries. Robots are doing quite a number of medical things. Okay, so process automation is the in thing now. Okay, and the process automation has moved from technical things to robotics. Okay, And that's why we're talking about artificial intelligence, artificial intelligence, artificial intelligence. All right. Okay, process automation involves using technology to perform routine, repetitive tasks or processes without human intervention. Key aspects here involve workflow automation, robotic process automation, and part of the benefit of all of this automation is that you have increased efficiency and speed, reduction of errors and variability, enhanced scalability, right? Okay. Utilizing data analytics for continuous improvement. So you could have the descriptive data analytics where you look at historical data, predictive data analytics where you look at algorithms to predict the future, or you look at prescriptive data analysis where you make recommendations based on analysis of data available. Now, by the benefits of data analytics in process improvement, we'll be able to identify trends and patterns, and that can help us take decisions. Then we can also optimize processes and enhance decision making. Let's round up with business continuity. Business continuity management is a holistic framework that identifies potential threats to an organization and provides a strategic plan for maintaining essential business functions during and after a disruption. Businesses are always at the risk of discontinuity, especially when there are massive disruptions like we had during COVID. And of course, in Nigeria now we have massive disruptions due to things that are happening in the economy. Most businesses have, since March, or let me say since May, some businesses have stopped coming out. Okay. So how do you handle your operations in this way or in this time? That takes us back to 80-20 principle. Okay, 80-20 principle. All right. In a way, most of us, or if not all of us, are adopting 80-20 principle without knowing. This learning we are doing now, you're adopting 80-20 principle. You could have been thinking of transport, you could have been thinking of money to pay, you could have been thinking of other logistics. If you had to come in from outside Abuja, you would have been thinking of where to stay and all of that. Okay, you would have been thinking of all manner of associated costs. But you have reduced the cost. In fact, you have almost eliminated the cost completely. You have your input to this learning, financial input to this learning, it might not be up to 10% of the total cost that you would have. No, it won't even be up to 10%. Your total cost in this total amount of money you're spending now to be in this course, it won't be up to 10% of what you would have spent if you were to do all the nitty-gritties involved. Okay, so you are already utilizing the 80-20 principle. Okay, the key components of business continuity management, you have risk identification, the things that could possibly discontinue your business. Business impact as analysis, the disruptions, those things that could possibly affect your business, the disruptions and what have you, analyzing their impact. Okay, then development of strategies to cushion the effect of whatsoever that could come as a disruption, and then testing and exercising those things. So you could use scenario planning to also manage your business continuity cases. All right, so please permit me, I'm going to run through this. Developing a business continuity plan. Key steps: establishing a business continuity plan team, conduct a business impact analysis, develop response and recovery plans, establish communication protocols, engage in training and awareness, and then regular testing and updating of your plans. Trends in operations and process consulting. I'm just going to read them out because we'll be mentioning them over and over again. We have the digital transformation. We've talked about the automation and AI, digital twins, using digital replicas of physical processes to optimize performance and predictions. They will have the data-driven decisions like employing advanced analytics and real-time monitoring for your processes and your operations. Then you have the customer-centric operations using customer journey mapping, personalization, customer experience, and what have you. You have agile and lean practices, the agile operations, the lean thinking, supply chain resilience, diversification, technological integrations. Then we talk about remote work and collaborations, like virtual collaboration tools, digital workflows. All of these are the trends that are currently ongoing in operations and process consulting. Sustainability and environmental responsibility, evolving role of process consulting, and cybersecurity integrations. All of these are there. Okay, all of these are currently prevailing in the operations and process consulting. You have augmented realities and virtual reality, regulatory compliance, human-centric designs. Okay, now in conclusion, understanding operations and process consulting is pivotal for organizations aiming to thrive in dynamic business landscape. It involves embracing continuous improvement, client-centric approaches, and achieving strategic objectives for lasting success. The interconnection between operations, process consulting, and business continuity lies in their collaborative efforts to optimize processes, manage risks, align with strategic goals, foster adaptability, ensure the resilience of organizations in the face of disruptions. The seamless integration of these elements contributes to an organization's ability to navigate challenges and maintain operational excellence. Thank you so much for your time. I am confident that you've learned something. I'll be handing over to our coordinator for questions and interactions. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Banito, for this wonderful session. I strongly believe that we've learned a lot, and you made it so much interactive. Thank you, sir. Okay, because of our time, we will be taking questions now. Please, if you have any question, kindly notify us and unmute your mic. It is very important when we go through this kind of training, we should ask questions. I mean, from work experience, scenarios that happened at work, or how we did. Let us maximize the opportunity to ask questions. And in case if you have something to add, or you want to share experience or scenarios that happen at your work with us as well, it's also important. Let others learn from you. So we appreciate you, Dr. Banito. Please, if you have any question, kindly unmute your mic and ask. Any question? Any question? And don't let us forget that when we ask question after a session like this, it shows that we really pay attention to every single thing that the instructor said. And that's the way to also encourage our facilitator. Please, if you have any question, kindly signify now. And I believe that we couldn't get everything right. May not be able to digest everything once. You can go back to the YouTube channel, subscribe and watch over and over. It seems this particular topic is quite deep and is a critical part of consulting that we need to look at wholeheartedly. So please, you can go back to the YouTube channel to watch over and over so we can get every single thing right. Please, nobody is signifying here. If you have any question, clarity, addition, sharing of experience, or anything, even if it's outside this particular topic we are dissecting today, you can please unmute your mic and ask. Thank you. That was an insightful presentation. Yes. Thank you, Vivian. Great. So do we have anybody that wants to add anything? Okay, so the attendance link has been posted. Okay, so I will send the attendance link to us now. Okay.
So, hello, good morning, everyone.
Okay, good morning.
Yeah. Um. Honestly, I don't know how much I can value this presentation. So I don't know. I don't really know, but it's just amazing. Yeah. Having said that, I think um, what our um um facilitator
Instructor.
is doctor, yeah, and institute needs to do the next year to look into, because I think I one of the program I attended, I think around projects, or it's not a project, it was not a project, but he talked about the project of the that involved that the federal government allocated some invited some project coordinator from different states, where they were asked to okay, I think it was feasibility study. Yeah. So that practical scenario always um always resound in my memory, even if I don't have time to go through the theoretical aspect. Once I heard the um the practical analysis, in fact, I don't know, it can't go out of me. So I think the real time analysis, as it does too, sincerely, it does bring real time analysis. So, and I think it should do more on bringing real time um analysis to the classes, because most most people in this class are executives. So the we will try to see how to manage our time as much as we can. So going back to um anyway, any um any any material I got from this institute, I always see it as, anytime I have challenges, I mean, aside from this one, I may not surface for the next 3, 4, 5 months. So, but it doesn't mean that I used to look at the every resources I've learned from here and put it into practices until exhaust it, until it got exhausted. So, and that's okay. I think I need to uh, um, add more. So, it's always value, any resource I got here, no matter other um training I have here, I do I give this institute resources and IS rating. So you should please do more on that real time analysis in every in order, you should do more about it, so that it will help us to, you know, to help us in our retentive memory. So secondly, I think on um the new trend, maybe institute should partner with the IT training and IT organization. So it shouldn't let us go outside of this fold of this institute. So we should collaborate with other. So we've known that this is management by excellence. So the next 124, I believe we should have more of people putting into practices more better than the success story we've heard. So it's been my that anything I do, if I have not put it in the practices, then I see it as waste. So I think part of the real time is to putting all those this in the frame, in the workable frame, especially using the latest tools. So this institute should please collaborate with IT-based companies that will now integrate these learning processes to real time. So because if I still going out, I don't want us to go out of from this family or our institute. So meanwhile, we can achieve the excellency through partnership with other IT-based consultancy services. So I think that's just my um
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for that observation. I mean, we really appreciate you. And of course, Dr. Banito also said that I would give room for him to also say something about that. I mean, if you know before, but before then, if you know IPM, I don't know when you've been participating from all our programs. We always bring experts from different fields. If you look at the way this program is being structured and scheduled, it's more of a comprehensive combination of different topics that there's no enough time to really dissect a lot of parts or some parts of the training. And I love the fact that you mentioned something about management, that this is a management institute. And, we focus more on those aspects, but that doesn't mean that we should not collaborate. If we check the Sustainable Development Goals, Vision 2030, organized by United Nations, it talks about the 17 goals, partnering with other organizations and some other goals. So collaboration and partnership is very important, and that is well noted. I will also give time and chance to Dr. Banito to say more about it. But we really appreciate. Yeah, Dr. Banito, over to you, sir.
All right, thank you so much, Ridwan. You always make very meaningful contributions. You always express your heart towards the Institute, and we appreciate that. As you are talking, the president is here, the vice president is here, the PRO is here, and myself, I'm here. We are actually working on these partnerships to enhance our digital space, to also make sure that our members have quality integration when it comes to IT. But the assurance we are giving you now is that now that all of us are here, or most of us are here, it is something we are taking so seriously. And by next year, more of the programs will be rolling out next year. IT will be much more involved, especially trending IT, not the old ones, but the trending ones. Okay, they will be much more involved. Thank you so much. Okay, I think we'd like to end here now so that we can take a break and return by 2 p.m. for the next class. Okay, so we've already eaten deep into the. Okay, we're supposed to end by 1. Okay, I was the one that's supposed to end by 12 in my mind. So we'll resume by 2:30 p.m. 2:30 p.m. We'll resume 2:30 p.m. So please take your time, have a good rest, and then we'll reconvene by 2:30 p.m. Meanwhile, just to remind us, the program still remains free. However, if you want to order for your certificates, if you think you need a certificate in this program, then this would be the requirement. We have 2 types of certificates here, or 3 types of certificates. The first certificate, certificate of completion. You want to get a certificate in either ethical consulting, process, operations and process, strategy and strategy planning consulting, or value-based consulting, whichever one you want to get a certificate in. Each of the certificates for IPM members is $25,000 or $50, and non-members is $35,000 or $75. Now we have professional membership professional certifications and professional membership. Now we are giving over 50% discount for anyone who wants to become a certified management consultant this season, or you want to become a member this season. So if you are going for the certified management consultant, we'll be giving you additionally a membership certificate with, so you don't need to pay twice. Okay, so you have 50% off. Now, for example, our associate certification is 150,000 and our associate membership is 100,000. So both should have given you 250,000. But if you're paying 100,000 now, you get it for, if you're paying 100,000, you get both. So you have 150,000 naira discount. Then we have the senior certifications with the senior membership as well. For full member, if you were to do the senior certification for certified management consultant, that would be for 175,000 for online participation. And then your full membership would have been 120,000. So if you join the two, that would be roughly 275,000, but you get the both for 120,000. So you have 155,000 off. Now, if you're going for full fellow with certified management consultant senior certification, the fellowship alone, fellow certificate is 150, and CIMC is 175. So that would have been 325, but you get that for 150. So you have 175,000 naira off. So whichever one you choose, if you choose not, you're also good. Okay. Importantly, too, we're also receiving applications for those who want to become chartered management consultants this season. Our chartered management consultant programs comes towards the end of the year. Chartered management certification is issued by the Chartered Institute of Management Consultants, USA. So if you want to become chartered, you don't need to write any other exam, and you don't need to attend any other further trainings. Just make sure that you attend the 4 trainings that have been scheduled this season. And then you pay just $400. $400 is no longer just. Now, there was a time it used to be just, but now it's not just. Okay, so you pay $400, and then your certificate will be shipped from US to Nigeria, and then we'll dispatch to you. Before we shut down, any question, comment, or anything at all around these things I just said now? Question, comment, or anything you want to say? Okay, if there is no question, please do give us a 5-star review on Google. Do give us a 5-star review on Google. Just give us a 5-star review. And all of the good things you've said here, please say it on Google too, so that someone will find it and also be able to benefit from this class. And then if you've not joined, if you've not subscribed to our YouTube, please, you can do so right now. So I'm posting the link for both the review and the YouTube. And please, if you come to class and you don't interact fully with us, you're making us feel like we need to use YouTube so that we don't entertain questions. The essence of using Zoom is so that we can interact, answer your questions, and share thoughts together. Okay, so if you don't answer, if you don't respond to us, share your own experiences as we are sharing too. You will be forcing us to just either pre-record the class or go straight to YouTube. Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Now, as a way of the information will still be passed, but next year we'll be starting our executive masters in business administration programs, which is going to be a 1-year full program. So from next year, March, April, we'll be launching those programs. If you're interested in running an executive masters in business administration, you're welcome to join us. We'll have areas as project management, global human resource management, strategic management, and others. We have about 4 of them, okay, and business management as well. So if you're interested, just pay attention to your email and across the WhatsApp groups too. All the information will be coming your way. All right. Thank you so much. Please, coordinator, over to you. If there are further announcements, you can go ahead. Okay, our vice president is in the house. She wasn't able to give us a voice yesterday. If our vice president can, please, you can unmute and say hello to our people. Dr. Ifoma Eze.
All right, good afternoon, Dr. Panito.
Yeah,
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for that session. It was really, really insightful. So many things we learned, and I believe others will say the same. I hope and I pray that we'll do better next year. There's so much to learn, and I'm really excited to be a part of today's session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Doc. All right, please coordinate over to you. If there's any other one, if not, let's